It's wonderful to see you all here. First of all, and I'm very serious about this, it's a genuine honor to be part of this group, because this is literally the first gathering of a authentically integral approach to therapy. And there have been a lot of preliminary versions of an integral psychotherapy. All of them are important. This is not the last word in integral therapy. I think it is the first genuine word. I think it's the first time in the past 30 years of the human potential movement that enough material has come together where we can actually start to talk about doing integral therapy and actually have some validity to that statement. So I see this as a very pioneering, opening move, but for just that reason, very historical for many reasons. I myself look at this gathering not so much as we have some information that we want to impart to you, but that we want to bring you up to speed to where we are, and then all of us constitute the first learning community of an integral therapeutic process. What's the relation between integral psychotherapy and an integral transformative practice? There are many, many similarities, some important differences. Most people that go to an integral transformative practice go there because they want to be there. Most people that go to a psychotherapist go there because they don't. So there are lots of other differences and similarities, and we'll talk about those. But the important thing is that this really, because we have an integral framework, and again, not a finished product, but the first framework we think covers enough bases to genuinely be called integral. Because it's a Model T, really. In terms of automobiles, what we've got here is a Model T, an early Ford Model T. But that's extraordinary, because that means that we can actually take it out, start driving it around, get traction, and start to do really an enormous amount of good for communities, for individual people coming to us for help, and just for the greater common good as well. And in addition, for our own growth and development. So I really see this as the launching of a learning community that's going to continue. And I think it's really going to be rather extraordinary. So for that reason alone, I think this is just, I don't know. And I'll translate that later. It generally means, hot damn, this is so cool, I can't believe it. So we've got this this week structured to try and cover as many bases as possible, both in getting feedback from you, what we can learn from you, telling you what we know up to this point. So we're trying to get everybody up on the same page, basically. And then as experiential exercises, as well as some theoretical stuff. Most of you know a whole lot of the theory, but we're going to cover some of those bases anyway. If we're giving an amount of information that you already know, give us the feedback on that. We also, but if there's stuff you want to go into in more detail, then let us know about that as well. Generally, what these 2-hour sessions or so with me, what these are is kind of a catch-all. So if what's happening in the rest of the week, if there are questions, really in-depth questions that you're not getting answered, then bring them up here and I'll try to do it. If the presenters aren't doing enough jokes, let me know, I'll do the jokes for now. We're just going to bring it all up here, make sure we're covering all the bases. If there's experiential stuff you want to talk about, we can do that. If there's personal stuff you want to talk about, we can do that. It's the nature of the thing generally that the devil is in the details, that so much of what actually happens when you're doing a practice, and a therapeutic practice is a good term for that, because it means, again, it's something that, it's a praxis, it's an interactive thing that we do, and the more you practice, the better you get. So it's not something that you're applying, it's not really a technique, although those are involved. But technique originally means monological. So a plumber has a technique to fix a broken pipe, and that's technique. But we have a praxis. We have an interactive, dialogical praxis with another sentient being. And that's an extraordinary occasion, as you all know. And the deeper you move into the consciousness of any sentient being, the closer you get to God. So at some point, things start to get very, very luminous in these settings. And the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. You also touch at least 7 or 8 of the 9 rings of hell in any form of therapeutic endeavor. So you're getting the whole spectrum of human possibilities and what's going on. And the only thing that hasn't lived up to that extraordinary encounter are the models that have been used to mirror it. And those have been a travesty to the richness of what goes on in these situations. So what happens with an integral model that has quadrants and levels and lines and states and types, it's still a model, but it's a model we hope does less damage to the reality of human interaction than any other model. And therefore we call it integral. So, but we don't have, delusions of grandeur or hardly even adequacy about this. But we do want to start floating these kinds of models as a reflection of this extraordinary richness that can occur in any sort of encounter of an I and a thou, particularly when the thou comes to you for help. So this is an extraordinary adventure that we're starting. I mean, really, it's just absolutely riveting. And I think this is one of the great things in a certain sense. It's the culmination of 30 years of the human potential movement, where all of the different types of growth techniques, East and West, for the first time came together. We've never, ever, ever had that happen anywhere in history. That we've had all of the cultures available to us, with all of their growth techniques and therapeutic techniques. We could put them all on the table and say, holy mackerel, look at what we've got here. Now, how can we fashion some form of comprehensive model that will help us in the therapeutic relation, but also in the world at large, in terms of helping growth and development and the greater social and common good. Ultimately, for those of you who are spiritually inclined, to your own realization as well, and possibly that of your clients. So that's why I'm honored to be here with this launch, because it really is a launch. It's the first time this kind of thing has happened. It's the first time we've done it, this specific type of gathering with professionals, and it's going to be the first of many. And what I really hope is that all of you will continue to stay in touch, particularly through Integral University Online, when we get that up and running. Because we need feedback, we need everybody out in the field trying these different approaches out, saying what works, what doesn't work, this helps, this doesn't help, this is my experience, and so on. And feeding it back into this knowledge base that we're going to be generating. And it's the psychology, psychotherapy, consciousness, and transformative practice domains are probably some of the most important. Because all of the changes that are going to occur with a human being and all the other dimensions, whether it's education or politics or how to change people's attitudes towards ecology, they all depend upon, ultimately, that one individual being able to grow to their own fullest potential. And that's really what is being pioneered in what we're doing here. So my hope is that this is a group of people that we're going to know each other for decades. And we're going to be getting this kind of feedback just going in an ongoing way. And hopefully some of you will come back and help us teach some more of these seminars yourselves.